Good morning and welcome. My name is Teresa Campbell, and you have joined the Printing Industries Midwest and PIA Mid-America Financial Executives Council with CEO panel discussion. Note that all attendees are placed in mute mode during the session to ensure quality recording, which we will make available to all of our members following the program in the coming days. We do, however, encourage each of you to comment and to ask questions using the Q&A field at the bottom of your screen. And if you have technical difficulties, use the chat field for that. The Financial Executives Council is coordinated by leaders in both regions. They guide the programs and the content that's offered that focuses around financial reporting and compliance, data management and security, and financial policies and planning. Now I'd like to introduce Rick Riesgraff with L.B. Carlson.
Good midday, everybody. Hope you're all having a good day. Today we have a CEO panel to talk about some key questions facing companies in the industry today. Some topics that I think most can relate to. We're in the post-COVID era, and different challenges, different opportunities have come up in the last year or so, and it's been exciting and at the same time challenging, because it's certainly not the same old, is it? So I'm just going to introduce our co-chairs on our Financial Executive Committee first, and then we'll have the guest panelists on the CEOs introduce themselves, and then we'll get started on our agenda. The panelists that we have joining us today are financial executives from different companies throughout printing industry of Midwest, and PIA Mid-America. We have Matt Wills from L.B. Carlson, Carl Nathy from Myers Printing, Ken Ryan from Daily Printing, and Ryan Wagoner from Action Mailing and Printing Solutions. So these guys put the agenda together months in advance. We're planning these things for the rest of this year and maybe even into next already, trying to keep relevant topics in front of our members, and they've done a good job. So just wanted to make sure that you knew who they were, and they will hopefully participate in some of the questions and feedback today. Now I'd like to introduce our guest CEO panel. We have three CEOs joining us from different companies throughout the midsection of the country, which is served by PIM and PIA Mid-America. First, I'd like to introduce Todd Matuska, CEO from OnPoint. Todd, if you could do that, we'll just then introduce Tom Moe and David Anderton right after that.
You bet. Good day, everyone. My name is Todd Matuska. I'm the president and CEO of OnPoint, formerly known as GLS up here in the Twin Cities. We changed our name about 2 years ago to OnPoint. Our organization is been a traditional commercial print organization over the years, and we've taken a really large investment and dive into the digital. So we've got a full onset of Indigo HP 12,000s, plus we have an HP 250 variable web here that really holds tight for our direct mail and our direct mail drive in our organization. We do about 2 billion pieces of mail out of our organization. And like I said, we're located in the north side of the Twin Cities in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. We've got 220 employees, and we're about a $60 million organization. Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, thanks. Tom?
Hi, I'm Tom Moe. I'm the president and CEO of Daily Printing. We're in Plymouth, Minnesota, the west side of the cities. We are an organization founded in 1950. We are an employee-owned organization, and we run a Komori Perfector HUV for our offset work, and our digital platform is Xerox. We have iGens and Irides. So yeah, we're about $15 million, general commercial print and kind of boutique direct mail.
Okay, thanks, Tom. David?
Hi, that's good day, everybody. We are in Texas, and our corporate office is in Waco. We have a plant in Austin and a plant in Waco. I'm sorry, Bryan. So, yeah, we do a cross section. We have the offset press. We've got 340s. We're in the digital world. We've got the 15K, the 7K, and probably 6 or 7 different other digital presses. We also do a lot of wide format promotional products, and we recently acquired a company to do wearables, silk screen, things like that. So we're in that 25-30 million range.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Ben, maybe you could put the next slide up. Our agenda today is going to be focused on, like I said, hopefully interesting topics and challenges that various member companies are dealing with in the post-COVID era. We went from post-COVID to crazy inflationary periods, and who knows what else with labor shortages and all that. And customers are doing business differently these days compared to just a few years ago, and so we thought it'd be good to reconnect on some of these issues. Certainly, nobody's going to be sharing trade secrets or anything like that, but we're all interested in maybe some of these topics and some of the ways that you guys are dealing with them at your company. And so with that, we'll try to get to all these, and certainly, again, our participants that are watching, ask questions, interject thoughts, however you want to deal with it. Teresa will field those, and hopefully at the right time, we'll have two-way conversations going. And the same thing for our panel, our financial executive committee. We're going to try to mix this up a little bit and have a conversation instead of just a panel where we get up in front and talk about things. So first topic we're going to talk about is customer engagement strategies, is what we called it, but it's really to that point of customers doing business differently somewhat than in many ways, in the ways they're communicating with their customers. But then how are we communicating with them? How are we engaging them? How are we drawing them in? Is it with digitalization and personalization and augmented reality, artificial intelligence and opt-in marketing and different kinds of things that's just a few of them that you guys might be dealing with, all kinds of different ways that you're engaging your customers now. And so I was going to throw that out there and have each of you weigh in on that if we could. And I thought maybe we're going to switch off the order on every question, but maybe if Todd, you'd want to field this one first, and then we'll get thoughts from David and Tom.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Rick. You know, it's been really interesting for the last few years, and in our organization, what we had to do just to tune up in order to work electronically through the COVID time. So, for example, estimating, quote letters, all that kind of stuff that our sales reps typically were handing to customers, all ended up having to go electronic. So we did a lot of different things to our front end of our systems. Now, where has that led us to today? And what are our customers even doing? You know, we're set really good in that variable market. So when we're talking engagement, it's that one-to-one communication. It's what our devices can deliver on demand. It's all about trying to engage and grab that perspective from the customer view through visual, through names, through pictures, through a lot of different things that we're doing within our devices. Something that just came out of our leadership meeting this morning on AI is we just use AI to write all of our security training programs that we have to go through in our organization. So I don't know if a lot of people, if we're doing this, but you know, for security engagement, we have to train all of our employees to handle that. And we used AI to do the entire program, entire discussion panel, everything through AI, which was kind of nice to see that. You know, so many people think in this world of AI being robotics and things, you know, AI is anything that we're seeing and doing every day to day. So that's really become that next step for our organization and what we're doing. And we'll be driving a lot harder in through the AI side. So this is a little bit of perspective, Rick, on what we've got going here.
Sorry, I was muted. How did you use that specifically, Todd?
What was that again, Rick?
How did you use AI specifically for what you were doing?
So our IT group engaged it, so we actually put the content together. And then what AI does for you is it goes out and grabs all the specific wording and technology, it goes through it. So if you're looking for something specifically on security and security protocol, you put that in. AI will go out and grab that and will begin to write that story, write that methodology for you versus a human actually having to go in and type all that information out. It's a really cool concept. I've seen it at a couple different companies that are using it. We've adapted it here now too. So if I'll give you an example. If someone wants to write a blog out there today about a book, you simply just have to select a couple topics, and then AI will begin to write that story about a book on flowers, and it'll continue to grab that and build that as you put in additional information. And it can write an entire blog for you in a few minutes versus someone writing a blog in 20 minutes or an hour. So it's really cool technology. I would encourage everybody to begin looking at AI. It's here, it's now, and it's going to be definitely for the future.
Customers harder to engage than they used to be, or is it just different?
Great question. I would say what's been kind of encouraging for us, I don't know, Tom's in my same city here, is customers are now allowing us to come back in. Customers are allowing us to sit in conference rooms, show them things, touch things. We went through this stint of COVID, and then we went into this holding pattern. Everyone was trying to figure out how to do business. So it's coming back to what we've seen in the past, that one-to-one sitting down with people working on projects. A lot less interaction, Rick, on email and sending people links, those types of things. So at least in our organization, we're beginning to see that engagement come back the way that I really like it. I'm an old school guy, Tom, I think you are too, and what we've seen in the past. So it's enjoyable to see that, Rick.
Good, good. David, can you weigh in on maybe some of the things that you guys are doing or seeing in your organization related to customer engagement, or feel free to comment on anything or question anything that Todd has talked about too. So.
Certainly, thank you. Yeah, I'll take a little bit probably different approach. We're technology wise, I agree. AI is we use chatai.com. It's there's a free and a premium service, and we do all of our terms and conditions, anything that we're wanting to write, we go to that site. It'll help us get a great start. Instead of having to start with a blank piece of paper, and we're using that more and more with email information that we're wanting to send out to clients. The wording is, I think, professional, and it helps us. We spend probably every 3-4 emails to a phone call. I mean, I think our clients' engagement is through email more and more. So we want to pay close attention to what the wording looks like, and we've kind of had some classes on proper email etiquette and things like that. So we're growing in the portal world. We've been in it for a while. The last couple of years, we're seeing our clients want to engage through portals. So we've hired a full-time person to do the kickoff meetings, work through the build out, the back end. We have a dedicated, really staff IT group that has really helped us, I think, build the portal world. And so we're old school as well. I mean, we love to get in front of our clients. We just did a couple of lunch and learns. We're seeing that clients are actually, we had 96, I think, in Austin, and I can't remember, it's pretty close to that. And Brian, they like they're coming out of COVID. The room was, really vibrant. People were glad to see each other. So we're happy, that I think people are coming back, in that area. So, we have some software that we've been working through, Zoom Info and some others, to do some of our engagement strategies. I think it's another kind of next step in our in the digitalization world, you know, to be able to go out and add, you know, our salespeople are having an easier time finding our target markets. So
What was that last part, David, you said? They're having a harder time?
no, they're having an easier time. You know, with technology nowadays, not just Google and things like that, but there's a software called Zoom Info that you really have a next step in going after target audiences. You know, it could be individuals or companies, and where in the past, I think folks have struggled, you know, to go after and find emails, things like that.
Good. Maybe this for you, David, and Tom and Todd as well, but obviously during COVID, sales sometimes took a hit, most of the time took a hit. Then things have come back. But how would you frame the environment in terms of sales growth right now? Is it are we seeing moderate growth, or significant growth?
I think it's hard to determine that right now, Rick, because is it growth due to inflation, or is it organic growth, or is it new business growth? I think, you know, coming out of last year, we saw such significant inflation that it was pretty hard not to have growth, right?
Yeah, we pass on those price increases, you grow the top line anyway, right?
We had, you know, we all had an advantage, just for the fact that paper and allocation and raw materials were such a rough time for us. So we had customers placing orders well in advance to secure paper. So right now we're looking at, you know, on a growth trajectory right now in comparison to last year. Are we lagging right now? Or is it the fact that customers just aren't having to place those orders in advance for materials? So I agree with what Tom's saying. We've got a lot of people that are kind of sitting back right now. Our numbers for our organization, the budgetary numbers were right there as we predicted for the year. We've got some nice surprises on some things, but you know, what's that trajectory going to continue to be for the rest of the year is where we're trying to kind of figure out. So Tom just mentioned we got inflation, we got all these other factors that are coming into play. Now we got material availability, and yes, most likely most of us all did a price increase to stay up with the material cost, but that got us to a certain point. Now where's it really going to go? So, you know, Tom, I think you and I could go down the street. We work about 15 minutes away and flip a coin, but we're optimistic as to what our production flow looks like in our future bookings right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of our clients, you know, prior to COVID was one thing. Then we hit COVID and everybody kind of had to retool. And now what we're seeing after is there were some strategies that I think worked well that aren't going to go away. And so you know, I think we're happy with our production flow. And, you know, there's some other concerns out there right now with you know, what's going to happen with raw material supply chain and stuff as we get farther into the year. But I think we're pretty comfortable with it now.
Good. That's good to hear.
You know, Rick, one of the things I think too that, you know, I want to back up for just to the engagement point for just a second. You know, you look at prior to COVID, it was almost all in person. Then during COVID, there was zero in person. And now, you know, here we are today. We could be having this meeting in person or online or a combination of both. And I think what's coming out of this is while we get back into more and more in-person meetings, I think it's always going to be hybrid, right? Because it helps. It can really help because you can engage a larger audience from a larger geographic area at the same time, as opposed to having to have multiple meetings or travel around the country. So I think that, you know, maybe the good news is that coming out of it, we're going to be okay with adding some hybrid technologies like this. And then, then determine on how and where you're going to meet your customer. Are you going to meet them, where they live or where you live?
Yeah, I do think that that's great because the human element was obviously missing in COVID, and it's there, it's back again, and people love it. And but the ease of this technology makes the job, that part of the job, easier, and so you mix it up and do it where use
Right.
the tool where you can. I just think everybody's gotten more sophisticated. We before we started the call, we were talking about some of the discussions we had from this committee during COVID. It was like Teresa likes to say, it's drinking from a fire hose, and it was a challenge, but we learned it and learned it forced upon us, if you will, or thrust upon us, and so that goes with every kind of interaction there is, including the customer interactions. Anything else, Tom, that you guys are doing in terms of seeing some of these, some of your customers doing anyway with maybe AI or AR or QR codes or any, or are you marketing differently than you used to, or anything that you'd like to speak to there?
Well, Rick, I think the answer is yes. They're using all of those, and what they're looking for are strategies and how they can utilize more channels at one time, right? More omni-channel type stuff, and try to reach their customers where they're at.
I think to add to what Tom just said, Rick, is there's other technologies out there that people are interested in using, but they're trying to really test on pilot. So, we're seeing our customers continually doing what we're doing, but they're adding other things into their marketing toolbox. And what that's doing is there's a little bit of a fear factor if some of those things maybe take off, that it might reduce our print a little bit more. But when you talk about direct mail and what everybody receives at home today, we still, we heard direct mail is going to go down, and we saw the slide, and everybody predicted and it was going to go away. And all that talk is now changed for the fact that people want to feel, they want to touch, they want to see. There's a lot of different technologies that we're using in our industry right now to grab that little bit of time that somebody has when they grab an envelope or a piece of printed material with different touches that are going on it. So it's really amazing what that direct mail marketing's doing. And I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable today in seeing what we are versus maybe a couple years ago when we were so worried about direct mail. The one thing that is the anomaly that we cannot change right now is what the USPS is doing for postal rates. If the USPS continues to drive the postal rates up the way that they are, that will drive our industry down. There's nothing that is going to be able to help us there. So just to reiterate the fact, when we begin to see that, and we can do inputs to let our government know about postal and postal increases, please do everything we can to let them know that affects a gigantic marketplace in this world.
Yeah, thanks for that plug. I mean, I think everybody should be vocal as they can on that, because it affects this industry in a big way. And I know, Teresa, you're in the forefront of that too. So, well, thanks for that. I just think it's post-COVID, it definitely is a blend of different things, engaging that customer, not just with the printed piece, but with a lot of this other technology, that when you touch that printed piece, maybe they're having you scan a QR code because there's something to take you deeper and more connected. And and I'm also glad to hear that there's some optimism out there about continued sales growth rather than inflationary cost increases. So we'll come back to that maybe when we talk about recession and stuff like that. But I want to maybe switch gears now then and talk about something that was really impacted by COVID, during COVID and post-COVID. It was and it's still going on, and that's leadership and talent in an organization. Ken, maybe you could just start the conversation going on that, and I'll jump into.
Sure. With the post-COVID run here, it seems like a lot of the people that were baby boomer age have seemed to have left the industry. So I know that we've had some very big employment gaps. And I'm just wondering, for the panel, what have you guys been working on to recruit new employees to the industry and to either promote or develop leadership skills? And so I'm going to direct this one to David to start and let him speak to what his organization's doing to address these staffing trends.
Thanks. Yeah, currently we've had to kind of change our mindset with the younger group and the way that they engage and work. We're currently doing a big cornhole competition between the plants to get them. They just, they want to have more camaraderie, more things that are, I guess, would be fun. And so we're trying to bring that culture into our organization that people want to be a part of, the younger group. And they want to hear from us. They want more of our energy, more of our time. And we tell them, when we're working with that age group, their options is say high school graduate. They could go into manufacturing, which would be outside, maybe in an environment that's not like ours in printing, where we have controlled environment. It's or retail or even restaurant, and we try to let them know, hey, this is a place you can come and have an impact, learn about our business, feel wanted and rewarded, and then also they're that group, we've kind of learned from them on how to build our culture that fits. So yeah, it's there is less of them. I think when we go out for trying to put a job out in the marketplace, we get 10 to 15 where we used applicants where we used to have to run through 30 or 40 or 50. So definitely we have less people applying for those types of jobs.
So David, when you get these applicants to come in, are you seeing them coming with some experience or just a blank slate that you have to train?
No, it's not. It's no experience, and usually they're 2 or 3 jobs into their career. We try to get the folks that have at least been in work atmosphere for 3 to 4 or 5 years. Kind of our target.
So David, do you have a formal training program, or have you been developing one for the last couple of years?
Yes, we have an onboarding program where they come in, depending on where they are in the company. We match them up, to a team. There's usually 3 or 4, and then we have what we call a partner that they work with every day, and if it's in the folding or wherever it is, and that way they feel like they're they can ask questions, they can go to have their voices heard.
Cool. Tom, can I flip to you and throw this question at you? Where have we been looking? I know where we've been looking, but can you explain, where we've been trying to find employees and our process of onboarding them as well as training them?
Sure. First of all, David, we'd kill to get 10 employees or 10 applicants for an open position. And I would, and from that matter, when we do get applicants, it'd be nice if they showed up for their interview. And so, Ken, as you're aware, and I think as everybody's aware, we've in our market space, we've lost any formal training programs that maybe did exist for our industry. And so we are now, in fact, yesterday afternoon, I was at a high school recruiting about to be graduates that maybe don't have career plans or college plans, and trying to encourage them to apply for work in the printing industry. Maybe not necessarily just our company, but also trying to promote the industry. So we've gone from, every what I will call the traditional talent pool spaces where we were trying to recruit and find applicants. And now we are down at the junior and senior high, or junior and senior level at the high school. And then and then once we do bring them on, the training is all internal with us. There have been a couple of efforts recently that some of us are aware of trying to build some workforce development and some training through the association. That's been an ongoing effort. And I think there's going to be some good conversations about some training that's going to be made available to help employees across the company as you bring them on. But it's basically, we're looking everywhere we can. We're looking at underdeveloped and underutilized populations in the community. We're at the high school level. We're across everywhere we can. And then, obviously, once we do find them, the responsibility for training and education falls solely on us.
No, that makes sense. Todd, can you speak to how your group is looking at this, as well as recruiting new leaders into your organization?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple points. One thing that we saw in our industry is this COVID retirement, as I kind of called it. Folks that were really close to retirement and just decided it was time to go. So we lost, in our organization, some really good talent, some people that have been with the organization for quite a while. And how do you not say congratulations to a retirement when someone's worked for you for 25 or 30 years if they're going to leave? I mean, it was a great thing. Unfortunately, it just didn't have that backfill, that we found. So we all felt the same pressures of trying to find the right people out there. Our typical pools were not there. We, in our organization, we hired a training and recruiting person to come on board. She's been with us, I want to say maybe 7-8 months, something around there, just to help us recruit. She does an amazing job of going out there. But I have a feeling I might be seeing Tom at a local high school, because I'm going to be at a high school, I think, next week or the week after, doing the exact same thing that Tom was doing, reaching into that next level of folks. And then, of course, the tech colleges. And the challenge with the tech colleges is there's so much demand for manufacturing people. So if you're going to a tech school for 18 months for a specific role, they've got that opportunity tenfold, before they're even halfway through their 18 months or 24 months of training, to go into a different type of industry. We lost one of the great programs over in Wisconsin over at Stout, where they had that great program. They canceled that 2 years ago. So, and we lost Dunwoody locally in town. So there's nothing, like Tom said. So that's really discouraging, especially in this type of an industry where you really can, be nice to have those skilled people. And I don't want to be going into Tom's organization and taking Tom's people, or I don't want Tom in mine either. I mean, that's kind of rough to be doing that. Something that's just recently happened in our industry in town here is a couple printing companies are doing some layoffs. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but that might be an opportunity. But what are we doing aside of all that? We are working on bringing in people with zero skill set and bringing them in, doing the right onboarding and doing the right training to get them in. But what's different now is we're having to talk to people about their next opportunity, their next steps in our organization. So, for example, you come as a press feeder, well, your next opportunity would be maybe to go on a smaller press and begin to run that press, or begin a second on one of our presses, or go into our digital department. That's the way that we're really having to bring talent on, versus that you're just going to come and be a press feeder, for example. Also developing internally. I think we'd be remiss if we're not giving people the opportunity to have the chance to move within our organization. So that's something that we'll be pushing for right now. The other thing that we've done for some culture stuff, we do a lunch and learn just for our managers. And what that is, it isn't necessarily going to be a topic about what our company does. It's more a topic about what's happening in life today. So, for example, how do you handle tough situations at work or in your personal life. And we're giving an hour of training for that just to help advance our managers and some of our manager training. We've got one coming up where we just did kind of a Q&A about our culture and organization, and we're going to be training against some of that kind of stuff too. So really fun things outside the box. I mean, food trucks, Twins games. We've got, I think 40 some people signed up to go to the Saints game, which is a minor league team in town, just to get people out and enjoying each other and having some fun amongst each other. David, we're not doing a cornhole tournament, but I can tell you, I sat in a dunk tank last year at one of our company picnics, and I allowed people to throw a softball at me, and I got awfully wet and cold. We'll see if I have to do that again this year, but yeah, it's just opening up the box of what else can we do to have some fun in the organization and get away from those daily doldrums. We pass out ice cream bars on a hot day, just some of those other things. So when we talk about that, what are we looking at for other talent and leadership talent, and how are we doing that? The one thing that I've noticed is high level leadership talent is not as hard to recruit right now that it has in the past. Meaning, people want to experience other opportunities. I think what COVID did for a lot of us has said, is this what I want to do the rest of my life? Is this my mindset? Do I want to go into work every day doing the same thing, or do I want to look for another opportunity? So we've had a really good luck at bringing in some top level leaders in our organization. We've turned over our entire executive team, so we've got a whole new team here at OnPoint. So it's been really fun of what we've been doing there. I wanted to say, it's outside of the box thinking, and we have an activities committee here that throws stuff all over the walls, and whatever sticks, we just do it and we have fun with it. We're trying to bring that fun back into our industry, just because it's an older industry, but how do you attract the new younger talent that wants to have fun? And we've got some great people leading these teams. So
Yeah, I agree.
Can I tail in on one of your thoughts, Todd, about when you said the employees, you had some older employees that took out a lot of what I'd call brain power. Have any three of you considered bringing these people back to train the new employees?
We are doing that. That's a great point for bringing that up. Is we've got a web press operator in our St. Paul plant that retired, and he's coming back to doing some smaller roles. He's doing some additional training. We've got people in our finishing department that are doing that. And you know what? We're paying them the right amount to come in to do that for us. So that's a great point. Thanks for mentioning that. We are doing that.
Yeah, we've got 2 retirees that are consulting with us right now. So
David, have you guys had any of that where people are coming back to help you out?
Not particularly. We haven't. I know fulfillment, we have folks retire and they'll come back and they'll work in our fulfillment department, but not from the training aspect. I guess over the last couple of years, it was interesting to say you've turned your executive committee completely over. And so I think for me, from hiring key leaders, we've gone out of the industry. I think we like bringing people in that have new ideas and new skill sets and softwares and things that they can bring to our organization that in the print sector we weren't aware of, like IT and HR and accounting. Most of those people, all of those people have come from outside the industry, and they come in, and we are a somewhat manufacturing organization. And so they think they're from different sectors, and I've been really excited about learning some of the things that they brought to the organization. So, and they are, yes, accounting's a little harder for us, but there are applicants and people out there that are hungry to find a new challenge. And I think the biggest thing for us is just the culture that we bring. We are a family kind of focused group. We don't have really any outliers, anybody that kind of makes work not fun. Those are, we just they'll kind of weed themselves out pretty quick, you know, and so people see that, they enjoy coming in, and that's, I think, our biggest, I don't know, secret sauce.
Cool. I'd like to throw out one last thing before we transition to the inflationary pressures, language barriers. Traditional, you know, you try to get people that have gone through programs to become a printer. We have to recruit in different cultures too. Have any of you thought about that, or have someone in place that speaks multiple languages?
Well, our HR director does. I mean, she's fluent in Spanish and English, and we've certainly have a need for that, and so that's been very good.
Yeah, Ken, I would
Oh.
say PIA Mid-America being South Central and Texas being an entry point, we've dealt with that for years, and most of our members have bilingual supervisors that speak Spanish and English, and we do in our industry, probably more so South Central, have a Spanish-speaking population that doesn't speak English. We often have to make presentations both in English and Spanish for healthcare plan enrollment and so forth.
Sure. Okay, cool. Well, then with that, I'm going to transition over to
Ken.
Ryan and let him lead off the inflationary pressures part of this.
Hey, Kenny,
Oh,
one thing about that, you talk about language barriers, and I think Spanish and English is kind of a given now, right? But I think, and I just saw this the other day, there's a company locally that put something out on their social media page that they're now speaking 16 different languages inside their building. And
wow.
so I think you're onto something, and I think it's something we need to, maybe it's not a big issue for everybody right now, but I think the fact, you know, even, you know, we've got bilingual Spanish and English speakers on staff as well, but I think, you know, we as an industry are going to need to, as we continue to look at some of the underemployed and underutilized populations that we have in our areas, I think we're going to have to get comfortable speaking a lot more languages than just English and Spanish.
Definitely. Cool. Well, thank you. I'll transition to Ryan, let him take it from here.
Thanks, Ken, and thank you guys for joining us today. It's already been a lot of great information. So I want to transition over to inflation. I want to see just start off with our industry and our already slim margins, and how is it affecting the purchase of raw materials, and then passing those increases on to your clients. Are you getting any pushback yet on those increases, and how is that affecting? And I'll pass this to Tom to start with.
Are we still seeing inflationary pressures? Pardon me? Sorry about that. Yeah, I think we're still seeing some inflationary pressures. And I think that the concern for us as a company is, last year, did we pass those increases along fast enough? You know, did we keep up with the inflation that we were experiencing from a raw material standpoint? And then this year, are we going to be able to deal with inflation or deflation? And I'm a little bit more concerned that, you know, as the markets ease, if we start to see some deflationary practices out there, that, you know, we're all going to be stuck with higher raw material prices in inventories and things like that, that suddenly are going to have a negative impact on profitability and margin.
Great. David, can you add anything to that?
Yeah, glad to. So, yeah, I think, you know, with, first of all, labor, as far as inflation goes, you know, we all had to increase some of the pay rates over the last 2 years to keep, some of our key employees, and, that doesn't go away. And so, learning how to be more lean, I think, is a big deal for us. Measuring, I think the measuring tool for our industry is like sales per revenue. And so if you're at, 130, it's probably on the low end, 170 is probably really, really good. And so just kind of using that this year and coming out of, all of the pay increases that we've had. Interest rates, they don't, if you've got some existing, debt, and it's usually a fixed deal. So I would say that interest rates really don't come into play unless you're looking at, something new. For us, I think we're looking more ROIs for over the last 3 or 4 years instead of making an investment this year. It needs to really make sense. Instead of, we're a little more risk averse as far as equipment and things that we're doing. Raw materials, if you're on this call, you should have, increased your sales or increased your prices already. And last year, for instance, we had a great gross profit. We measure by gross profit. Our budget is entirely not really on revenue, but the gross profit side. So, and I think that's important to look at every month to see, how your raw materials and your gross profit numbers are playing out.
Great. You mentioned wages. Has the increase in wages not only has it affected your ability to acquire new talent, but also to retain some of your talent that you have? Because as wages go up, everybody's wages go up. Has that impacted anybody?
You just have to be careful with labor because it's a big percentage of your every dollar, and so when you increase that labor, there's got to be a give and take there. I'm not sure what, I think less employees and more revenue is the answer in our industry. Labor rates are going to stay high. I don't think they're going to go away.
I would agree. David, can you weigh in on this a little bit? Or sorry, Todd.
I'll answer anything. Don't worry about it. We're good there. We've done something a little interesting this year. We've been planning for a big project in our organization for the last 2 years. And we're about halfway through it. So we are in the process of moving one of our locations, St. Paul, to another building on our main campus here in Brooklyn Park. So we're taking about 65 employees and then moving them over here, plus all the equipment. And we've also just signed off on a new building that we're leasing 50,000 square feet for new distribution and kitting. So Tom, this is all going to be new information for you in the local market here. And we've also bought a new web press, a full web here that's about halfway through installation in one of our other buildings. So we, when we were looking at this project and executing on it was during COVID. So what was it? It was a part, efficiencies, lean, cost avoidance. It was getting rid of a couple older printing presses that were causing us a lot of downtime, investing in another big web press, moving equipment, moving people, and doing all this is creating an ROI that we're going to be able to do really well with. In a time frame of 9 months of doing all this, so it's a lot of things going on. We've got, I think, right now 30 some people in one of our buildings right now installing the equipment stuff. So we rolled the dice, we saw what it would look like, and we're into it. So interest rates then go up a little bit, and we see some of that, but that was all built in. It's been built into our budget, what everything looks like. One when you do all these things, we can either sit back and hope and wait and see what happens, or we decided to be aggressive and make a move. And I'm glad we're doing it now versus maybe next year. Hopefully things will be really good for us next year. So, and that inflation and all the other things that we've been seeing and talking about, and I watch the news every night, I'm into it. I can't worry about it right now. It was a really good thing that we did. And when I want to talk about, that talent, that pool or increases or more costs and things, yeah, we've had to, we've done we did a really nice increase last year for our employees. We've had to do what I would call maybe some protection of our key employees, things that we just sat down with some of our employees and said, you know what, you're important to this organization. We believe that you can do something different for the organization. We're going to give you this, but would you be interested in taking on a little bit more of additional role or changing things? That's been really positive for us to be proactive on that. So again, I don't think we can just sit back and hope that everything's going to go well. Hope's not a strategy here at our organization. And, what are we really doing to protect those employees? Now, when we're hiring new employees, what we're seeing coming at us on some skilled positions that we're looking at are crazy numbers compared to what we've seen in the past. So it's a little bit of a challenge if you're hiring somebody on to run a piece of equipment and you've already got another person that's highly skilled running that piece of equipment and they've got the longevity of their organization. It's hard to bring in a new employee at a higher rate than what somebody else might be, because unfortunately employees talk. So we're having to do some strategy planning around that too. So just more things that guys in our seats of Tom and David, what we deal with along with our CFOs are just, it's different how we react and how we act.
Right.
Yeah, we're definitely in a different world, but great information from all three. And I love the common theme to me seem to be everybody's being proactive. I think that's highly important. So I'll throw that over now to Carl. We'll head over to sustainability.
Hey, before we get to that, I had one question for the panel on this last issue. I know labor is still short supply and inflationary wage increases are going on. Raw materials, on the other hand, supplies are way up, inventories are up, pricing is stabilizing, I think. So in this competitive industry that we're in, I just wondered if anybody's actually been able to think about the possibility of coming down on the pricing of some of those materials yet, or are we not there yet?
I think for us, we had such an inventory of paper that we bought at a certain price, and we're still working through that paper, and so that was something that, we haven't changed our pricing based on, I guess it has come down some, but we still have that, some other, papers changed where we used to buy it just in time, and now we're having to inventory paper, and there's a cost to that. And, so we're staying with, the price structure that we developed last year. And the market, will kind of dictate that, over time. Hopefully our industry will understand that, those there is additional cost nowadays than there was before. And just because paper may be a little bit more competitive than, it was when we bought it last year, that doesn't mean we should lower our prices.
I'll go with David there. We worked really, really hard with our customers to pass along these price increases. I mean, we had to do that. We were in a catch-up mode about 18 months ago, just trying to catch up. We've now just been able to get to the point where we're level. My experience with mills and they don't give you money back. They don't all of a sudden start saying, you know what, we've been gouging you for a little bit, now we're going to start giving you money back. My experience over 34 years is I've seen that paper price go up, it hits a level, Maybe you'll see a little bit of a down fluctuation, but I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Companies are still, mills are still taking out tonnage and or converting. It'd be nice if we could see some other things happen, but I don't think anybody's going to be adding mills or big paper machines. So we're gonna sit tight where we're at. I'm happy with our levels that we've been at. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to make any moves until we get a little bit better glide slope of understanding what's going to be in front of us here.
Yeah, I'd agree with both the other panelists. We were fortunate, we didn't have to increase raw material inventory significantly during the past. We've got some unique opportunities with procurement that have allowed us to not have to build large inventories. We do have some inventories, but we didn't ramp them back up. There probably is an opportunity today. Maybe on some large direct orders, you might see a little bit of some price fluctuation, but like Todd said, most of the mills that we're doing business with have commented they're not going to be going backwards on price. They would rather they would opt for downtime over that. There are more conversions going on per tonnage. So yeah, I think the prices are going to stay at the level they're at right now.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that, Carl.
Oh, good stuff. So we'll transition to sustainability for the next topic. Sustainability obviously it's really a trending topic, not just in our industry, but kind of in every industry. And I guess for a question for you guys, maybe Todd, I'll start with you. I think it's your turn. How has it changed your interaction with your customers, or maybe your sales reps when they go to customers, or maybe as you approach new customers? How big of a topic is this, and how much are they looking for you to provide options?
Yeah, it's a great topic. Good question. We've been seeing the sustainability ride for a good amount of time in our industry. What are we doing in our industry to add to that? What are we doing in our industry to come up with different ideas? It is a topic from our customers all the time because our customers use our sustainability data to fulfill their sustainability requirements. So when we talk about recycling, we recycle everything we can. We recycle new types of plastics, those types of things in different programs. Some of that recycling is costing us more money than it maybe that it's we would like to see, but we see that that's something that we're having to do. I sit right on an interstate with a great view to the sun. I've got guys knocking on my door nonstop about putting solar panels on our building. I gotta tell you, I've looked at it. I'm not done looking at it. Just because of the fact that might be something that would be the right direction for our organization, and then also being selling off to the grid. There's a lot of ways you can get around that. So for example, you can buy wind energy off the grid. I don't have an ability to put a big wind turbine in my backyard, but you can buy off the grid if you want. There's an increased cost on that. But the problem with something like that, it takes more energy and more things to do to create that off the grid sale than what the impact would be in a sustainable environment. So we got to kind of watch out some of these crazy things that are coming at us all the time. The other things that we're doing is we just renegotiated some stuff with one of our major recyclers here on tonnage. There's more different types of demand also for different materials that we're seeing that's coming out of some of our recyclers too. So it's a keen eye. We watch it all the time. It is a number one priority in our organization. It's just a matter of what do you pick that is the right answer to your customer base. So in direct mail to your customer base, it's, we recycle this, we do this, here's our tonnage, here's our increase that we changed our lighting in our buildings, all those types of things. That might be good for them, but it may not be good for one of our other customers that's more in a financial market that's going to have other sustainability goals. So it's kind of what do you really pick to really slide up against and not have in a gigantic program that encompasses everything, and quite frankly costs a lot of money to do some of those things. That's the elephant in the white room.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing customers that are willing to pay extra for some of the maybe sustainability options?
You know, the FSC papers and some of that stuff, recycled papers out there, the answer is yes. Are they willing to pay a lot extra for it? The answer is no. And a lot of people will just tell you, well, you're a printing company, you should just have that. We should just be able to use it.
Right.
So we have the FSC and some of the other markings out there. Yes, we pay a lot of money for it. Do we have a ton of customers using FSC papers now? No, not like we used to, but a few of our customers use it for reporting, so we continue to go that path. But like I just said, I think the watch out is picking which area of sustainability you want to concentrate in, and then you got to drive that direction.
Right. So David, may I throw this to you from interaction with vendors, maybe your paper suppliers and such? Are you
Sure.
having conversations with them about providing sustainable options, or are they bringing options to you guys about providing sustainable paper options or different options that you can then take to customers?
Yeah, I mean, our customers kind of drive that conversation. So, you know, if they're asking about eco-friendly substrates, and then we have that conversation with them about what their options are, and you know, maybe an additional cost if they want to go down that road. And we try to do that on the front end before we actually get into the pricing, you know, situation. We ask our reps, you know, to sit and get some feedback. You know, where are you with eco-friendly, and is that important to you? So we kind of know up front, you know, what direction to take them. And so, yeah, I mean, wide format's a big one. The substrates, you know, as far as being eco-friendly, that's kind of a hot button. Paper mills, you know, to me, their R&D and what they're doing with recycled paper will kind of drive our industry. If they get really serious about offering even reduced rates on recycled paper, you know, it's always been an extra rate. Well, you know, I'm not sure that's what other industries do. So, you know, in our company, we do recycle. For years, we would get a certain amount of dollars per tonnage, and then they quit paying us for it. And so I'm not sure where we are today, but I know for a while there, you know, that they had more than a surplus of that recycled paper, and they just weren't paying us for it. So, but we do, you know, we have, I don't know, about every 6 months or so, we'll go back and we'll check mark inks and everything that we're doing to make sure that we're, you know, being earth friendly is what we call it.
Okay.
I would just like to add that we want to encourage all of our attendees to make comments and ask questions in that Q&A field at the bottom of your screen, and engage with these panelists. And I'll start. Are any of you considering electric vehicles?
I will throw that out there. We just ordered a couple new trucks in our fleet, and we looked at it, Teresa. Right now, with the batteries and everything else that goes with it, it's just not the right move for our organization right now. But I will say that we just bought an electric golf cart to go between our buildings. So if that qualifies for anything, but because we have to move plates between buildings. So, but no, we've got some smaller delivery vans that eventually might be a really good target for us. But as of right now, I glanced through it really quick, and we didn't go too far with it. Right? Great question. Thank you.
How,
I mean,
We have not looked at that. We have not looked at adding an electronic or electric delivery vehicle. Just from the standpoint of, I don't think it's there yet for us. We have converted all of our delivery vehicles into biodiesel over time, that, you know, we're utilizing that, but nothing with electric vehicles at this point yet.
How about one more question on sustainability? How about from your employee base, and maybe what your employees are asking for or pushing for as the employer, in terms of being more sustainable as a company For example, I know like our company, we're installing a small wildflower garden outside of our building and a little seating area for people to just kind of be out and enjoy some nature, I guess. Or if it's stepping up your recycling game internally and some of that kind of stuff. Are you getting much interest and maybe a push from your employees to get some more sustainable practices?
For our organization, the answer is we are not getting any additional pushes. We have some green space like you just mentioned, which is really nice also. But, I have not heard of any employees in our organization that are asking us to push further than we already are.
Okay.
Yeah, same with us. We don't have a big push from our employees. If we bring in new technology, they may ask a few questions about, is it better for, VOCs? Is it better for this, better for that? But not a lot of demand coming from employees about how do we become more sustainable in our practices.
Yeah, me neither. We just don't.
One advantage that we do have with our move is we're going to be cutting down on multiple trucks running back and forth between our two plants that are about 20 miles apart. And then the other thing that we are going to be recognizing is we're going from 2 web presses down to 1 web press. So we'll have a recognition for electrical consumption there. But those are just parts. That's the end of result of some different things that we're doing.
Right.
Hey, Carl, I didn't do this on purpose when you got this question, but I don't know if you can speak to the solar panels, but I know you guys have looked at that and done something about that. Okay.
Yeah, we do have I'll call it a smaller, I guess, set of panels on our roof. We put up on our roof. Well, it had to be 4 or 5 years ago now. So we are getting some, benefit from that, using it to power some portions of our building. We've been doing that for a few years now. Yes.
You had an ROI or a payback period on that, was pretty short, wasn't it?
Yeah, because there's some tax incentives that you got in there, and obviously the electricity usage. Yeah, so it wasn't terribly bad ROI. Yeah, so it's worth the effort, and we were able to get some marketing effort out of it and promote some sustainability causes. So there's value in it that way as well.
That's the main thing, the marketing side of it.
Yep.
That take a picture of the panels on your roof. It goes a long way with some customers.
It does. Yep. You get the right customers that, like I said, some customers really focus that, and it's one of the main topics they want to talk about when they talk to you. And it's matching up the right customers to what your message is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with that, then I think we'll transition over to Matt.
Thanks, Carl. So I think anybody who watches the news the last, 6, 7, 8 months, for sure, the last couple, you always hear analysts or the news even saying that we're headed into a recession. We might be already in a recession, depending upon where you get your news and media from. Just wanted to kind of throw out to the panelists here first to go. Hopefully you're not experiencing a recession, but if you are, maybe some thoughts on that. But if you aren't, are you preparing for a recession, or what are you doing to maybe get your organization in a place to be better positioned if that does come? Maybe David, we'll start with you first.
Sure. Yeah, I think we're in Texas, in the plants and the communities that we serve. Certainly lower this year. We're coming off of a great, year. 2022 was good. We had a political environment that was really hot, and so that's was good. We're still living off the PPP and the ELT, all the ERC money. So I think we're flush, really flush, but we're experiencing a slower first quarter, and I think even April and May, have been trending lower as well. So I think we're kind of in that. I wouldn't say recession, but a slowdown. I think our clients are kind of on the sidelines trying to figure out what the year's gonna be. I think there's still a lot of pent-up demand and a lot of money on the sidelines. So I don't think that's the problem, but I feel like they're probably just holding back a little I fully expect the last part of the year, starting maybe July, August, I think we'll make up most of what we've not seen in the first quarter. We only had our gross profit for this year was 5% growth, which is pretty small. And we're off that, but we're not off enough so that we can't catch back up, with a really good fall. In our segments, offset is probably the biggest lagger of our different product lines. Wide format, I think, is our second one that's down because of the big events, scaling back a little bit more this first quarter. So we've seen that. The marketing side of the world is, I think, pretty constant. We do a lot of variable, a lot of transactional work, but we also do a lot of marketing work, and we're seeing those stay pretty constant so far. So,
when you say scaling back, obviously, are you intentionally scaling back, or is that just a function of, hey, there's lower sales, maybe there's lower marketing to go along with that, or pent up? What do you mean by, are you doing other scaling back as far as maybe not hiring as many people potentially, or not hiring more people to fulfill the demand you had in 2022?
yeah, I think what we're looking at, as far as like replacing old equipment, we're kind of waiting and making sure, cash is everything. So kind of just waiting this, and we just replaced a new router, and I think we spent $150,000 on that. We've got some other things we've done from a smaller outlay, but nothing this first part of the year that we wanted to really tackle. And that's kind of what I mean. Acquisition wise, we're very comfortable with acquisitions. We've done a dozen or so, and that's something that we'll continue to be strong with. I think as our industry is continued to right size, and I think with this, every time you have a recession or a slowdown, the companies that don't have reserves and stability are the ones that we'll target some of those, to be honest with you. And so we'll just kind of see what plays out for the rest of the year.
Yeah, great point. Tom, I'll throw it over to you. Are you kind of preparing for a recession, or maybe influencing your growth plans, maybe, as like David mentioned?
We're not preparing for a recession, and I quit listening to the news a while ago because if, to your point, they're telling us we're in a recession right now, and so I just quit listening to them. And so no, we're not preparing for a recession. I'm very concerned about a slowdown, and we're going to back off. We're on fiscal, so everybody else is coming. Oh, our first quarter was okay. Our last quarter was okay. And in fact, March was our best month of our fiscal year. So we're concerned about a slowdown, but I'm not preparing for a recession. We will scale back some of our capital improvement plans, I think, more due to the fact of interest rates right now and some things like that. But we don't have any real big plans for any major capital improvements this year. So, we'll keep an eye on it, but we're not going to put in a plan in place for significant loss of business due to a recession at this point.
Well, that's a great point. Yeah, it seems like we've been told we've been in a recession for a long time. So maybe turning off the news is the easiest part to do.
Yeah.
Todd, I'd love to get your thoughts. I know you mentioned earlier about a pretty large scale project you got going on, and obviously that's in motion and it can't be really stopped. But is there, what are your thoughts on are we in a recession? Are we going to a recession? And maybe what are you doing to prepare for it?
Yep. Well, I like Tom's comment. Tom, I stopped watching the news myself too. The news is scaring the heck out of everybody. I don't know if we're in a recession, and because things at the beginning of the year were a little bit slow for us. We had a really good good April. We had a great 22. You know, you're having this discussion with us and what's always called the slow time of our industry as we're going to be coming through May into June. You know, our future bookings look good and healthy there. The one thing that I want to say is, you know, maybe the fact that we haven't been able to find a lot of good talent is maybe helping us out a little bit more in that thought process of if there is more recession that's coming, we may be set pretty good right now with our employee headcount. So maybe that might be an offset. Am I preparing for a recession? Is our leadership team thinking about it all the time? The answer is no. I mean, we're into this project right now. We're knee deep into it. What will that do for the organization? That's why I mentioned, you know, having this done this year. If we do see more leading indicators of a recession, this will put our organization in a better spot to handle more of that pressure. But you know, what we're doing right now is we're still just buckling down and doing what we've always done and doing it well, and without worrying too much about those outside influences that we're hearing constantly about. Our customers are, you know, I'm going to tell you, our customers are kind of in that same boat. You know, they're trying to figure out what that might do to their end customers. You know, when you look at retail and some of those other indicators and drivers out there, and none of our customers we've heard have been really excited about what might be happening. They're just putting their heads down and still driving the same direction they had. I think we'll see a little bit better marketing push. Like, you know, David was saying, our organization's heavily tied to direct mail and marketing and what we produce on our digital devices. And we'll see that continue to drive. Do we all need new customers and more customers? Absolutely. We'll take them any day of the week. But as far as what we see right now, we're not preparing for any major event out there.
Perfect. Thanks, Todd, on that.
I wanted to add a tag-on question to you guys, if I could. You know, after what we've all gone through, COVID and post-COVID and inflation, and all, it's been a crazy ride in the last just a short period of time. Maybe speak to the issue of confidence. I mean, if there is a slowdown or if there is a recession, do either of you have any doubts of what you went through to get where you are now? Is this going to be, I'm not going to say slam dunk, but do you have any doubt that you'll be able to manage through it?
You know, Rick, I'll tell you that nothing prepares any of us for COVID. I mean,
No.
you know, I remember March and everything out there and what was going on. Has it helped us be more efficient, more cognizant, have different systems, more efficiencies? It did do that, you know, Rick. So that helps us do an application for the future. But I think where it's gotten us today, it's forced us to clean ourselves up. It's forced us to look at what we're doing and our processes. It forced us to look at our purchasing and our buying habits. And, you know, it's forced us to maybe do a little bit more challenging out there of our supply base, just as we were getting challenged too. So it created a ton of work. It created a ton of anxiety. But I think that's a part of a good prep, Rick, for what we might see if we have to deal with it again coming up. It's not going to make us move the dial any more different than what COVID did to us, probably.
Yeah, I think we've all three been in the business, you know, 25, 30 years and more. So we've seen, I know I've seen, I remember 2008, you know, it was a really tough economic environment. And we know that you know, those things, our clients, you know, kind of feel that. And so we feel it in turn. And we're relying on the mix that over the years I've kind of thought about recession-proof kind of clients. And, you know, the education, and, you know, we do a lot for universities. We've got 8 or 10 universities that we work for. Those seem to be pretty recession-proof. They may lower some of their budgets, but you know, so yeah, I mean, I think we've all experienced some of the things that, you know, COVID was a one-off for sure. It did change our business. You know, we do things completely different in some of the areas where we had never done any Zoom. You know, now most of our internal meetings, morning production, all week, you know, on our calendars, we have quick Zoom meetings that I think have become more efficient than putting people in a room and spending 10 minutes getting started and then 5 minutes getting them out of there. So, it's, so I think it's, it's helped in those areas, but I think our companies, our industry and our companies are stronger for having to go through, COVID and some things that we're experiencing even this year.
Yeah. I'm obviously very confident that we can manage through whatever situation we have to deal with. And if we learned one thing through COVID and to David's point, back to 08 with the financial situation, I think most companies today understand that when things happen, even if they're out of their control, the ones that survive are the ones that respond the quickest and the fastest. And as long, the idea of, kind of hunker down and buckle down and wait to see if things would happen, right? In 2008, 2009, 2010, we heard, well, if the economy would just pick up, our industry would come back, And I think we learned from that you can't wait for things to come back. You have to make the change and go headlong into it. And there's that great story about cows in Buffalo. Cows turn and run away from the storm and just prolong the fact that they're going to get wet, when a buffalo turns and runs headlong into it and gets to the sunny side much faster. So I think if we adopt that mentality that, let's deal with it fast, let's get rained on, and let's get back into the sunshine, I think things are going to be better. So yeah, very confident that we'll manage through it. We managed through COVID, and I must have fallen asleep in class that day when they taught us how to do that, because I wasn't prepared to manage through that, but we did. And we did it together. And I think no matter what comes at us in the future, we'll deal with it the same way. So I'm very confident that we'll get through it.
Good. Sorry to interrupt, Matt. I don't know if you were done or not.
No, all great discussion, Rick. Thanks, Tom. I think with that, I'll throw it over to Teresa if we don't have any more questions or comments on recession.
Great, thanks, Matt. I'm going to take you guys into a discussion about what keeps you up at night. The first one I'm going to share is maybe a little drastic, but I want your thoughts on it. We have a member in the central part of the country, actually North Central, that shared with me that one of their major financial clients canceled a major web printing run that was supposed to run for 3 days. They've seen a reduction in quantity of 60%, and they had the worst April in 2 years. Some of that is driven by mail altogether. So the interest rates increasing caused this financial institution to believe that their direct mail piece was not going to be successful, so they weren't going to print it. That, along with the fact that there could be, as Ryan says, the potential for double-digit postage increases that would be drastic. What do you think about that? Does it keep you up at night?
I'll just throw up the postal side of what's going on is one of the things that I think about a lot. Our new postmaster general is from private industry, past CEO, and my challenge is the fact that I don't know if the United States is prepared for what a postal increase could do to our industry and many other industries, how it could affect retail, how it could affect a lot of things without the stopping of the driving continually to the internet. We all worry about the internet and everything. It's been proven that what we do in our industry is key, but that could really, really upset the apple cart for for the United States and our industry. And I don't know if anybody knows all that stuff. So that's why I said earlier, speak your mind. If anybody hears an opportunity please speak your mind and let everybody know, because that could cause a big ripple.
Yeah, I think the only way to combat that, and I agree 100%, Todd, that, you know, that's our clients, every time we have an increase, of course, we have to have that conversation with them. And it seems like we're having more and more of that. I know we are having more and more of those conversations, you know, about, you know, maybe more focused marketing and we're really looking at, you know, data and making sure that it's clean and the ROI on a maybe smaller, you know, mailings. And, you know, those are the things that I don't think they're going away from mailing, but they're really refocusing what they're doing, you know, in that marketing, you know, world. They don't like email as much still, and they may have a combination of the two. And so I think with the USPS, they're driving away, you know, revenue that they could have, and I don't even know if they know this, but that they would have gotten otherwise, you know, by increasing prices. I think the other piece of that is our clients, to be able to deliver a hard, you know, a piece of paper to everybody's home, at 30 cents, 50 cents, whatever, is kind of still a bargain, you know. And I think it is something that we should do a better job at saying, you know, yes, it's gone up, but the benefit of being able to touch however many people, and having something on their desk has great value, and maybe sell that side.
Excellent. It's huge. Tom, do you want to comment on that?
You know, it's it's a very big concern, only because these increases tend to happen in the middle of the year when a lot of marketers' budgets are fixed. And so if we see an increase in postage, our clients will still mail. We'll just print fewer pieces. And so, you know, they will, you know, cleanse lists better and be more focused with their target audience and things like that, so that they're not they'll try to reduce the number of misses that they have in their databases. But from our standpoint, yeah, an increase in the middle of the year means we're going to print less for those customers whose budgets are already set, that they're not going to be able to increase. And I agree with everybody's comments. Sometimes I wonder, you know, if the post office understands that there are other ways that I think they could address some of their issues, as opposed to just taking rate increases. That's will drive away some of their business.
Interesting. What else keeps you up at night?
What's next?
You know, what's next? That's right.
What's next? What's coming next? What's not on our radar screen? What is coming that we haven't seen that it's coming fast, and it's, you know, and is it going to blindside us?
I always think about our customers. I don't know why, but staying really close to our customers is what keeps me up, kind of what's going on in their world, because they directly impact us, you know. And we think about our business all the time, but I don't know that we are close enough to our clients here at Integ to really understand their business. And I think if we do that more, it will you know, help us both be successful. So
Good point.
Yeah, and David, on that one, you know, our customers don't always know what's coming at them either, you know. So it's a great point, David. I couldn't agree more. Spending time with our customers and understanding their wants and needs, you know. But yeah, I'm like Tom and David. You know, what's going to happen? You know, what's going to happen next? I've been in a leadership role with this organization for 5 years now, and my 5 years have been constant turmoil and changes. And again, I've been in the industry for 34 years, but it's just been one thing after the other. And I'm just waiting for the next thing to come down the pike. You can't prepare for it. You can't worry about it constantly, but it's in the back of your mind.
Absolutely. There is
And we're all responsible for employees and their families and all that. You know, that's a big responsibility for, you know, our leadership teams and thinking of that. So not only are you looking at what's happening in the industry and what other factors can happen, but you know, we've got 240 families in this organization. That's a large responsibility for our leadership teams.
You know, that's a beautiful thing, Todd, that our industry is small business and it is family owned, and it is knowing their employees and treating them like family. And it offers something that big corporations have lost. You talk about taking care of those families and looking out for our people, and the huge responsibility that our leaders take on when they do that every day. And it's something that makes our industry special, different from the others.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that.
There is a comment from Kevin that he wanted to reach out and say, great topics and great insight. Hearing from the top on what folks are doing about various topics is really important to hear. It's great to hear. So thank you for that comment, Kevin.
Well, we're up in our end of our time here, so I just wanted to thank our panelists and our committee members for their time and for the conversation. It has been good, and a lot of good ideas, and I appreciate that. And if anybody has follow-up questions that was viewing, certainly we can field those and send those to either Ben or Teresa or any of our panel members or committee members. So Teresa, do you want to close with anything?
Absolutely. Great discussion. Thank you to all who attended, and of course to those who served because they took time to prepare for this. So great information that's going to help our members move forward. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank
And
you.
don't forget, we have another financial executive webinar in 2 months. So we'll be back at you with more publicity on that. So thanks, everyone.
That's a great point.
Thank you.
Every other month. Thank
Yep.
you. Have a great afternoon.
I know.
Bye-bye.